What's up, guys? I wanted to talk to you today about building an actual cooking fire and cooking food out in the woods. It's a little bit different than just building a campfire or a warming fire. Different fires for different reasons. So, and this stuff kind of took me a while to learn when I started camping and cooking out here. There's a lot of failed attempts at cooking food and a lot of burnt up food, and it just wasn't good. So hopefully I can give you kind of the easy button today so you don't make a lot of the mistakes that I made, and you can kind of get right into it if you're new to this sort of thing. I'm not really going to talk about the food or recipes per se. This is going to be more about how to actually build a cooking fire and to cook on the fire. I am going to cook some food today just to show you kind of how that all works. But I'm going to be talking about kind of three separate things. It's going to be wood selection, axemanship and wood processing, and then how to control the heat while you're actually cooking on it. So the first thing is wood selection. I'm looking for hardwoods because hardwood generally is going to burn down to coals and give me a nice even heat that I can control, and that's what you want, an even heat that you can control. Softwoods, they can burn bright and hot and really vibrant at first, but they burn out pretty quick and they'll burn down to ash, and it's just kind of all over the place. It's not really something you can control well, so that doesn't bode well for cooking. So we're looking for hardwoods, and I'll show you a quick little test on how to determine if it's hard or soft if you don't know just by looking at it when I find what I'm looking for here. So let me look for a little bit more, and then I'll show you what we need. So I found me a piece of oak. I can tell that by looking at the bark and looking at the heartwood and stuff. But if you can't tell that just by looking at it, then you can do the thumbnail test. So you can take your thumbnail and just press it into this grain. And if it doesn't leave a mark, then it's hard. If it does leave a mark, then that means it's soft for our purposes. So that's a way you can test your wood if you're not exactly sure what it is just by looking at it. So you found your wood. All right, you got some good hardwood here, but you need to get to the middle of it because a lot of this on the outside is no good, and we need to split this down in much smaller stuff so we can cook with it anyway. So now comes axemanship. You want to get you one section, and this doesn't have to be of the same piece of wood. It can be anything. But it's one section here that's going to act a little bit of it as an anvil. Then the piece that you want to split, you're just going to lay it on top of it with the very end right here, and it going away from you, right? Take your axe, hatchet, whatever. And you want to be careful doing this. You don't want to get your hand too close and bust your knuckles on the end of this wood right here. So you want to step back a little bit, and you're going to aim just for this end. And see, we've got a nice split going already. So now we're going to flip it around. Like I said, I don't want to reach in here, because if I start reaching in here, number one, if my bit of my axe goes through, it's going to be down into the dirt instead of down into this log. So I don't want this going into the dirt, and I don't want to bust my knuckles on this wood right here with this short handle. So now that we've split this end, I'm going to flip it around, kind of line it up so that if I split it here, it's going to be in line with that one. There you go. I'll move it up a little bit, and then here's where you got to be careful a little bit. You don't want to bust your knuckles. I'm going to keep my hands up. I'm going to come up a little bit higher. Oh, off to the side a little bit there. But that's why you want to do that right over top of this log, so that this bit actually went into this log, so I'm not risking damaging my bit by going into the ground. So this piece is being a little bit stubborn to try to split, but we've got a good split going most of the way down. You can see that right here. So I'm gonna take a break from actually chopping at it, and I'm just gonna put my bit right into this split that we already have going. Take this other piece, just drive this in and open that split up. There we go, starting to get it. So once I've got this initial split, let me bring my anvil back here, and we need to split these down even further. The way you do this is get your bit, again, I want to kind of start on the end. Get your bit situated on here. And I'm going to hold this piece of wood in my left hand, hold my axe in my right hand, line them up, and I'm kind of going to take my fingers on both hands, kind of grab my axe and that piece of wood. So you can see that right there. And I'm just going to hit down onto my anvil. And it's going to start driving that bit into this wood. Once you get it kind of stuck in there pretty good, see how it's stuck? Now I can hit a little bit harder without worrying about my axe flying off and potentially hurting me. Now, when you get to this point, your bit is gone through. I don't want to twist my axe because you're putting pressure on the handle right at the head. Instead, I want to actually turn the piece of wood underneath. So I'm going to hold my axe steady, and my bit is in this piece of wood right here. So it's not putting pressure on my handle. I'm going to turn this piece of wood to actually open it up and then pull my axe out. So we've got this split going this way. I'm going to flip it around. We're going to do the same thing on this end. We've got a split here and here. I'm going to come right in the middle. Piece is not wanting to split really easy, but you see what we got going on here. We're starting to break it down. So I've got this piece split down a little bit, and you see kind of what this half started out as. And I'm just going to keep doing that with these individual pieces. I'm going to keep splitting them down smaller and smaller. There you go. Just get stuff like this. I'm going to go even smaller than this. It's the same technique. You'll have to come up on your axe handle a little bit to accomplish this technique instead of being back here, but that's okay. It works just fine. This is kind of what we're looking for, stuff like this. All right, so I've got all this wood broken down into two piles. There was a lot of it that was rotten, that was bad, and I just got rid of. But this is all the good stuff. I got some bigger stuff, and I got some smaller stuff. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with these two separate piles here in just a minute. But first, we need to clear off an area that we're going to actually cook. So I'm going to clear this area right here. Now I need to build our actual cooking platform. To do this, I'm just going to use this same log that we used for our anvil. That's going to be one of them. Then I just cut me another dead log to make our other one. Before we get a fire going in here, I'm going to show you kind of how this works. So you're gonna start your fire in here, and you're going to burn it down to coals. And your pan is just going to sit right on top of this. So that way you're not actually sitting your pan directly on the coals, because that's going to smother them out. So it works like this. And if you have a pot or something, a big cup that's a little bit smaller diameter, then you can just angle these together on one end. And you can just start your fire, rake coals over here, and you can set your pot on this end. And then you can put your pan over here. So yeah, I can actually be cooking multiple things at once on a fire like this. I want to give you a better look at it and make sure that you can actually see the clearance that we have off the ground. So there's plenty of, oh, there we go. There's plenty of space under this pan and under that pot for airflow and for coals and everything. Because you don't want to be smothering this stuff out. So you want to actually have enough space under there for plenty of airflow. So we're going to set our cooking accoutrements to the side for now. We're going to go ahead and get this fire going in here. It doesn't really matter what kind of wood you use to get the fire going. Hardwood, softwood is pretty irrelevant, because this is going to be a stack of smalls anyway, and we're going to actually put some of that hardwood on top of it to make sure we get those coals here in just a minute. So once this stack of smalls starts to build a little bit, I'm going to start feeding some of this hardwood on top of it, because that's the whole goal of these these smalls just to get this hardwood burning so that we can get some coals here. So this entire stack of this these bigger pieces that I split up, I'm going to burn this whole thing. I'm going to put all of them on here and have it all burned down to a really nice coal bed. And all this smaller stuff that I have, we're going to use that when I actually start cooking. I'll show you that here in just a minute. If you're going to be like at one spot for a couple days, like you're setting up camp and you're going to be cooking multiple meals over this fire, then your andirons right here, that's what I call them anyway, you would be better off to cut those green so that there's a lot more moisture in this wood, so it'll take longer for them to burn up and be rendered useless. But if you're just going to cook like one meal on it, then you can just pull these kind of from anywhere and it's not really going to matter. As this is all burning down for us to get our coal bed, you can go ahead and take your pan, if you want to preheat your pan, and just kind of set it next to it. It'll start absorbing some of that heat, and that way it'll already be closer to ready to go by the time you get your coal bed. In the summertime, if you want to bring things out like steak and whatnot, if you just freeze it the night beforehand and then just wrap it up in a shemagh, even now when it's like 95 degrees out here, if you just wrap it up like this and throw it in your bag when it's frozen in the morning, it'll last you until, you know, afternoon sometime, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And by the time you take it out, it'll be just about perfect. So even when it's super hot, as long as you're going to cook it that day and it starts off frozen, then you can bring meat like this with you and it'll be totally fine. A little bit about controlling the heat. You obviously need airflow for your fire to burn. If you want it to burn hotter or quicker, maybe especially during this time when it's trying to burn down the coals, you can just take a stick, lift one end of this up, put it under here, and it opens up more airflow to the base of the fire. You can do that to the other one too. You can take another stick, you can lift this up, put it under this one. So now there's even more airflow coming from both sides. And this is just another way that you can control the heat with this fire, by controlling the airflow. And you can raise this higher if you want, or you can just have the one raised and the one on the ground. So being able to control the airflow to the base of the fire is just another tool in actually controlling the amount of heat that you're generating. So the rest of this wood here, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of knock it down in here. Just let it keep burning. Now I've got plenty of airflow from the sides and underneath these logs. I'm gonna go ahead and set this pan on top of here on those flames, let it start preheating, because I want this pan pretty hot. The way I cook steaks, I'm gonna kind of sear it. So I'm gonna let this pan go ahead and start absorbing some of that heat. So you can judge heat kind of based on how long you can hold your hand over the pan. So I kind of want to get my pan to where I can only hold my hand over it for 3 to 4 seconds, and that's going to be kind of a higher heat. That's what I'm looking for. Yep, and that's about right, because that's about as long as I can hold my hand there without it starting to really burn. So now we're ready to start cooking. What all these little pieces are for are so that as I'm cooking, I can keep feeding these in under this pan if I want some more flames or a little bit more heat, or I just want to make sure there's fuel in there for those coals to keep eating on. That's what all these little pieces are for. So I just periodically feed them in as I feel like I need them. But because I use my knife to do all this cooking with and then eating with, I want to make sure it's clean. So I'm just going to hold this kind of under here on these flames. And I'm not trying to heat the steel up. I just want the steel to be in contact, or the cutting edge really to be in contact with those flames for a little while, just to make sure that anything that was on the blade itself is dead and clean. After I let this sear on one side for, I don't know, about 2.5 minutes or something, I'm gonna flip it over. And after it's seared on the other side for, again, about 2 minutes or so, I'm gonna drop a big old glob of butter in there. We'll let it sear in that butter for about 2.5 minutes again on that side. Then we're gonna flip it over. Let it sear for about 2 more minutes on that side in the butter. All right, this should be about done now. Let's just slide it off. Go ahead and cut it and make sure we're where we want it to be. Oh yeah. So this style of cooking fire is called the Hunter Trapper cooking fire. And you can recreate this too without these logs. If you just want to dig a narrow trench in the ground, then the walls of that trench will kind of serve as these andiron logs. And you can, that's just another option for how to cook like this. But yeah, Hunter Trapper style fire. It took me a while to get this right where I could actually cook decent food on it. So hopefully this will be kind of a easy button for you guys that you can get out there in the woods and start cooking some good food and enjoy it. So thanks for watching, guys.